Daf Yomi, Tractate, Bava Batra, page 176a. The final page, the final daf of our long-studied Bava Batra, the longest tractate in Shas. Bava Batra, we started it on Thursday, June 27th, and we've been here in Bava Batra since then. Past, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus months, 5.5 months about. And here we are, Bava Batra, Kuf Ayin Vav, Amud Aleph, with the words Amr of Papa, which is interesting because we're going into a Wednesday, and then there's a special connection that I learned from a Zamra between Rav Papa and Wednesday. And here we are, Amr of Papa. Hilchasa milva per goyim ben yoshin. Ve'ena goyim ben l'koiches goyim ben yoshin. Kedei shelo tin'ol deles b'fnei loivin. Ve'ena goyim ben l'koiches deles l'kalo. Rav Papa said the halacha is that when a creditor gives a loan by oral contract, he can collect the debt from the heirs of the debtor after his death, but he cannot collect the debt from the purchasers of the debtor's property. He can collect the debt from the heirs so as not to lock the door in the face of potential borrowers, but he cannot collect the debt from the purchasers as a loan by oral contract has no publicity associated with it. Okay, fine. Hoitziel of course yodo ishu chayev loi goyim benechasim benechoirin b'chule ba minei Rabba bar Nosan min Rav Yochanan huch zakas of yodo bebezdin mai amar leaf al pi huch zakas of yodo bebezdin ein goy ve'el benechasim benechoirin. The Mishnah teaches if one presents a debtor or a document in the handwriting of the debtor stating that he owes money to him, but without witnesses signed on the document, the creditor can collect only from unsold property. Rabba bar Natan asked Rabbi Yochanan if the document in the handwriting of the debtor was ratified in court at a later time. What is the halacha? Would it then be possible to collect the debt from liened property that has been sold? Rabbi Yochanan said to him in reply, even if the document in the handwriting of the debtor was ratified in court, the creditor can collect the debt only from unsold property. Kosav b'ksav yodoi, ve'in lo v'edim, yesh lo v'edim, ve'in lo ein boi zman. Yesh boi zman, ve'in boi ela erechod. Harei elu shloisha gitin pesulim v'im neseis havlat kosher. Rami Bar Chama raises an objection from a Mishnah in Gittin 86a, which states, there are 3 types of bills of divorce that are not valid ab initio. But if the woman marries another man on the basis of one of these bills of divorce, the lineage of the offspring from this marriage is unflawed. In other words, she is not considered to be a married woman who engaged in sexual intercourse with another man, which would impair the lineage of their child. And they are these: a bill of divorce that the husband wrote in his handwriting, but there are no signatures of witnesses in the document at all. A bill of divorce where there are the signatures of witnesses in the document, but there is no date written in it. And a bill of divorce where there is a date written in it, but it contains only one witness. These are the 3 bills of divorce that are not valid with regard to which the sages said, and if she marries, the lineage of the offspring is unflawed. Rabbi Elazar Omer, Afal Pi she'ein olav eidim, Ela shenasnoi lo bifnei eidim, kosher v'goy v'nechasim mishubodim. Rabbi Elazar says, even though there are no signatures of witnesses in the document, but he handed it to her in the presence of two witnesses, it is a valid bill of divorce, and on the basis of this bill of divorce, the woman can collect the amount written to her in her marriage contract, even from lien property that has been sold. This indicates that even when no witnesses sign the document, the debt listed therein can be collected from the lien property that has been sold, as long as witnesses saw the document being transferred to the creditor. All the more so, a debt listed in a document in the handwriting of the debtor that has been ratified by a court should be eligible for collection from lien property that has been sold. Shani Osam Dimishas Kasiva Hu Abid Nafshe. The Gemara answers, there it is different, as the husband obligated himself and his property immediately from the time of the writing of the document, as he knew at the time that the document would be transferred in the presence of witnesses. By contrast, in the case of the Mishnah here, the document in the handwriting of the debtor was written without the intent of ratifying it. It was only at a later date, as an afterthought, that it was ratified, and the terms of the obligation of the debt cannot be changed at that time. Amarav koidim chitum shtavois goy benechas mishubad chitum shtavois goy benechas benechayrim. The Mishnah teaches in the case of a guarantor whose commitment emerged, meaning was written after the signing of the promissory note, the creditor can collect the debt only from unsold property of the guarantor. Rav says if the guarantor's commitment is written before the signing of the document, the creditor can collect the debt from the guarantor from liened property that has been sold. If it is written after the signing of the document, the creditor can collect the debt only from unsold property. Zimnin amarav afilu koidu chitu shtois enegave ela minchas benechayim. At other times, Rav said, even if the guarantee is written before the signing of the document, the creditor can collect the debt only from unsold property. Kashya darav lo kashya hadaksiv beploin yariv hadaksiv beploin yariv. The Gemara asks, this is a difficulty resulting from the contradiction between one statement of Rav to the other statement of Rav, as they seem to contradict one another with regard to a guarantee that is written before the signing of a document. The Gemara answers, this is not difficult. This case, where Rav says the creditor can collect the debt only from unsold property, is where it was written in the case as follows: so and so is a guarantor, as this formulation is an independent statement, and the witnesses signing the document do not necessarily relate to that statement. In that case, where Rav says the creditor can collect the debt from lien property that has been sold, is where it was written in the document as follows: and so is a guarantor. The usage of the conjunctive "and" causes this clause to be an integral part of the document, so that the signatures of the witnesses relate to it as well. Rabbi Yochanan Amar echad zeh v'echad zeh negoy el v'nechas v'nechayrim v'afal gav dekasav bei uploini arev. And Rabbi Yochanan says in both this case and that case, the creditor can collect the debt only from unsold property. The Gemara comments, and according to the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan, this is the halacha, even if it is written in the document, and so is a guarantor. Meisiv Rava edim hachasumin al sheila shalom aged pasul chayshinan shema al sheila shalom chasamu. Rava raises an objection from the right. Tosefta Gittin 9:9. In a case where witnesses are signed on a greeting written in a bill of divorce, the bill of divorce is not valid, as we are concerned that perhaps the witnesses signed on the greeting alone, meaning that they did not intend to testify to the divorce, but only to verify that the greeting was written. And Rabbi Bahu said concerning this Braita, it was explained to me personally by Rabbi Yochanan himself that it is only when the wording of the greeting begins, send a greeting to so-and-so, that the bill of divorce is not valid, and this is an independent statement, and it is possible that the signatures relate to it alone. But if the wording is, and send a greeting to so-and-so, the usage of the conjunctive and causes this clause to be an integral part of the document, and the bill of divorce is valid. This indicates that Rabbi Yochanan himself maintains that when the conjunction is used, the signatures relate to the entire document. The Gemara answers here too, when did Rabbi Yochanan say that the creditor can collect the debt only from the guarantor's unsold property, where it was written, so-and-so is a guarantor? If the conjunction is used, he can collect the debt even from lien property that has been sold. If so, Hainu Rav, Ema, B'chein, Amar Rabbi Yochanan. The Gemara objects, but if this is so, this is identical to the opinion of Rav, whereas Rabbi Yochanan was presented as disagreeing with Rav. The Gemara answers that presentation was inaccurate. Say instead, and so Rabbi Yochanan says, as Rav did. Rabbi Yishmael, Amar Rabba Bar Chana, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Afal Pi Shekiles. Rabbi Yishmael es Ben Anas. The Mishnah relates an incident occurred where such a case came before Rabbi Yishmael, and he said, the creditor can collect the debt from unsold property to the guarantor, but not from lien property that the guarantor has sold to others. Ben Nana said to Bishmael, the creditor cannot collect the debt from the guarantor at all, not from lien property as has been sold, nor from the unsold property. Rabbi Bar Chana says that Rabbi Yochanan says, although Rabbi Yishmael praised Ben Nanas after hearing his dissenting opinion, C175b, the halacha is actually in accordance with Rabbi Yishmael's opinion, as he stated it initially, meaning that in the case of a guarantee that is written after the signatures, the creditor can collect the debt only from unsold property of the guarantor, but not from liened property that has been sold. Iboiluhu bechanuk. It's like Chanukah, it's pretty close. Bechanuk mali Amar Yishmael. Mali Amar Yishmael Tashema. Damar Yaakov Amar Yochanan Chanuk Hayar Yishmael af Bechanuk. A dilemma was raised before the sages. What would Rabbi Yishmael say to me about the case of a debtor who was being strangled, as depicted by Ben Nanas, Chanuk, right? Perhaps he would agree in that case, since the guarantee was given under duress, that it is not valid. The Gemara suggests come in here. As Rabbi Yaakov says, that Rabbi Yochanan says, Rabbi Yishmael disagreed with Ben Nanas, also in the case of the debtor being strangled. Halacha Gamoisai. Oyena Halacha Gamoisai. Halacha Gamoisai. Oyena Halacha Gamoisai. Tashima. Dechias Ravin. Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Chaluk Chaya Rabbi Yishmael. Af Bechanuk. V'Halacha Gamoisai Af Bechanuk. The Gemara asks, and is the halacha according to Rabbi Yishmael's opinion even in the case of the debtor being strangled? Or is the halacha not in accordance with his opinion in that case? Come in here. As when Ravin came, he said that Rabbi Yochanan says Rabbi Yishmael disagreed with Ben Nanas also in the case of a debtor being strangled, and the halacha is in accordance with Rabbi Yishmael's opinion also in the case of the debtor being strangled. Amar Rabbi Yehuda Amar Shmuel Chanuk v'kadum yado v'shabim yiklal de'orev v'alma lo boi kinyan ligad Rav Nachman de'alma Rav Nachman. Rav Yehuda says that Shmuel says, if the debtor was being strangled and in addition to the acts of acquisition was performed with the guarantor becomes obligated to repay the debt. The Gemara deduces by inference it emerges that a guarantor generally does not require an act of acquisition to become obligated to pay. And this disagrees with a statement of Nachman, as Rav Nachman says,